for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we've got Bob Savage here with us today.
Ahoy, mateys.
Hey, Bob, how's it going?
Wonderful. What a day. I love summertime weather. I just, hot does not bother me in the least.
Yeah, no, the weather has just been absolutely beautiful. I've been outside doing yard work, cutting grass, trimming things. I got a chance to go on a motorcycle ride the other day.
I was going to ask you about that. That's great.
Yeah. No, I'd like to, if possible. I might get out on the road again today. Memorial Day, I ended up going on a ride, but I was kind of unsure how wacky people were going to be on the road and dangerous, being that people have been cooped up in their homes. The governor opened up the beaches. But I went for a beautiful morning ride. It was absolutely amazing. Just kind of went along the lake. And sure enough, we got home later in the day. We had left the house for something else, but not on the motorcycle. And sure enough, Lake Ave was shut down because of fights at the beach, and there were a few other things closed down. And I was just happy and thankful that I took my ride in the morning before people were really waking up.
By the way, a wake-up call, speaking of waking up, as we talk about motorcycle riding, I'm looking at the TV monitor, and we have a serious motorcycle crash on 390 with the rider seriously injured. So, you want to, now that the good weather's out there, as the ABATE saying goes, I can't remember what ABATE stands for, but it's the motorcycle club. Look twice, save a life, because sometimes it's very easy, if you're not looking for motorcycles, to have them slip your mind. Don't let that happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I have said this many times on the air, and I will continue saying it. If you are a listener of the show, please look twice. It could be me. So I really appreciate you guys being cautious on the road. I am, somebody who takes motorcycle riding very seriously and am always trying to be as safe as I possibly can be. But I mean, just the other day, I had a guy who apparently couldn't wait for some of the other people on the road and decided to swerve between me and a few other vehicles to pass us, in a big truck. And, I was on the Parkway at regular speed and had to hit the brakes pretty good so I didn't get hit by that truck. So
glad to hear that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Andrew's here today. I just had a note handed to me by the intrepid Bob D'Angelo. American bikers aimed towards education. That's ABATE.
Yep. And I am a member of ABATE. I recommend you guys become members too. They've got a couple nice little benefits that are worth more than the membership. I think the membership is, I don't know, it's minuscule, $20 to $40 for the whole year, something like that.
Yeah, they do good work.
Yeah, and they actually work in Albany too. Like when the governor is putting out bad legislation, or even some of the bad legislation on the books, they do show up in Albany and they do try to lobby to get it resolved. Sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not, but it's just another opportunity to support fighting for your rights and liberties here in New York, which we have so few of them left to begin with.
No kidding. Yeah, and by the way, they're libertarian by nature, I think, in ABATE, because they're all about freedom, the freedom of the open road, the freedom to go wherever you want to, when you want to not have to take mass transit, to not have to be herded around by government on bicycles or told to walk in the rain. You can ride a powerful motorcycle and claim that freedom for yourself. So join ABATE, ABATE, good organization.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I would definitely say I would echo what Bob said. Riding a motorcycle is very freeing. It's one of those things that you have to be very focused on what's around you, and as a result the other things throughout the day can't really crowd your mind. You can't sit there and take a call on your Bluetooth. Well, I guess you could, but you shouldn't. It's not like you're getting text messages or something like that you're checking. It's just kind of you and yourself and relaxation. So it is just a nice thing, and you can socially and physically distance while you're on a motorcycle.
Kind
No,
of naturally happens. Yeah, it used to be. I mean, this is in the, roughly speaking, this is in the get off my lawn department. But used to be driving a motor vehicle was a full-time occupation. And, 50, 60 years ago when I was learning, you had manual transmissions to deal with, not rolling back on hills when you're stopped. You had no power steering, no power brakes. There was no touch screens. The controls in the car were relatively straightforward and simple, but required, pretty much constant attention. So really, in a sense, driving has become so much easier now. And now you've got lane departure automation. You've got automatic brakes. I've got a 2020 pickup. The automatic braking, the perimeter sensors in that drive me crazy. Because I'll be backing up and it'll think that I'm getting too close. And then it slams the freaking brakes on. Just locks up the wheels, which is very startling to my elderly self.
Yeah, and I would definitely say, I've got a vehicle as well, an SUV, and it does have like that lane assist and the adaptive radar cruise control. And yeah, I mean, the car is not labeled as self-driving, but geez, it basically self-drives. It will automatically correct. It'll keep you in the center of the lanes. It'll slow down, brake if it needs to, like all sorts of things where you as a driver have to you do pretty minimal stuff. And I think there's probably two things out of that. One is you start to become maybe jaded when you're driving, maybe paying a little less attention because you rely on the technology. And that's where people like me who are on the road on a motorcycle get a little nervous, because people are getting used to maybe watching YouTube videos while they're driving instead of looking around them. But also it kind of does detach you from that driving, which I think is why riding a bike is just so exhilarating, because you have to shift through each gear. You have to be kind of paying attention to everything around you. It's not the same as just sitting in a car, and the car's, like I said, almost driving for you now at this point.
Yeah, we can't blame it all on technology, though, because I remember there was a 6-month period back in the mid-'80s when I had to commute to Buffalo every day from Scottsville. And I would get on I'd shoot across North Road and pick up the thruway at Leroy and drive there up to Buffalo. So I'd be there, during drive time when there's a lot of traffic. I can't tell you how many times I glance over, I'm passing somebody who's not really keeping up with traffic. They've got either a book or a newspaper propped up on the steering wheel. I mean, I am not kidding you. It happened, and it happened a lot.
Wow. Yeah, I'm kind of like brought back to, so my first car was an old Dodge, and there was nothing power anything on that. Even the the handle or the windows, you'd have to hand crank them down.
Hand cranking windows, I know.
Yep. No ABS on the vehicle, which I had a shop try to fail me on inspection because the vehicle didn't come with ABS and it didn't come with a passenger side mirror. I mean, the vehicles didn't have them when it was built, and they were like, no, New York State won't allow this. And I had to argue with them and like show them where it was allowed. But yeah, so things have come quite a far distance and definitely far in technology and vehicles since
much safer.
Since I started driving.
Used to have side view mirrors on the outside of the car that really were more decorative than useful. If you looked in the little tiny side view mirrors they used to have on the door, and then some of them even had them way out on the front fender, so you couldn't adjust them yourself. You had to have like a friend stand there, and you go, no, a little bit more to the inside, no, a little bit lower, okay, now a little bit. And so now your mirror is adjusted until the first time you go to Wegmans and somebody walks by, right?
And bumps it on you.
But
worse.
A lot of those mirrors would give you a wonderful view of the side of the car and not much else.
There you go. There you go. Well, and here I am thinking how bad it is when my wife, she borrows my car for the day, and the seat's all wrong and too small and too short, and the mirrors are all pointed in weird directions. Man, if I had to have a friend come and readjust them every time, I'd be in a lot of trouble. All right, guys, you are listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have a ton to talk about. New York has 100,000 small businesses that have shut down permanently. Skittles is doing color-free Skittles now. And there's COVID-19 tracing apps out there. And we're going to talk about how that might impact your privacy. So we got a lot to talk about, guys.
And Andy Cuomo, too, right?
Oh, Andrew Cuomo. Yeah, absolutely. He's on the list for sure.
He's got plans for us, folks.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
College Assistance Plus has worked with thousands of families, saving them millions of dollars. It can be stressful choosing the right college, but we're here to help. CA Plus will guide you from college visits to college graduation and through every step in between. Each student and family situation is different, and we work to accommodate those specific needs. Call today for a free family meeting, 585-582-1846, or visit collegeassistanceplus.com for more information. College is expensive. College Assistance Plus can help.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and wow, there's just so much to talk about today. I hope we're going to get to all of it. I see Sean and Garrett are in the comments talking about things going on in Minnesota and the Libertarian National Convention, and also the phrase dilatory, which is something I learned as a new phrase over the weekend. So guys, I don't know, to be honest, if we're going to get to those topics today. very well might bleed into tomorrow's conversation because there's already so much to talk about.
What are you being dilatory? What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I am being dilatory. That's that's what's going on here. So I think the first thing I want to hit, because I did title the show about this on the live stream, I do want to talk about the coronavirus tracing apps first. That way, if we don't fully make it to the other topics, at least I've covered what people are probably coming to the show to hear about. And then we'll fill in with the other stuff. So, Bob, I don't know if you've heard about this. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. There are companies popping up or creating apps that people can download on their iPhones and their Android phones to help trace the spread of COVID-19.
Now, let's think about this for a minute, folks. If the coronavirus is being spread, it's being spread on Wonder Bread? No. Is it being spread on kitty cats? No. It's being spread on people like you. And so if they're tracing the coronavirus, what are they tracing?
I'm thinking people, Bob. That's what I'm thinking.
And so now what, Andrew, let's just lead them along on this. What do you think government would be doing with that information?
I'm guessing tracking and tracing people and invading on their privacy.
Government would do that? Really?
Yeah, I feel like there was this guy, his name was Snowden, I think. And it wasn't like he was a snowman or anything.
No, he wasn't. He didn't do that, no.
Yeah, and he exposed a lot of this stuff that the government was trying to do in secret. So what I think we're seeing here now is an extension of that, but getting people to be voluntary, willing participants. And unfortunately, if history has taught us anything, it is that people will consistently trade in their rights for the feeling of safety and security. And I emphasize feeling because I don't believe that government overreach does, in fact, make us safer. People feel safer, but I don't believe that it makes us safer.
No, and it doesn't even, in many cases, make you feel safer. And if you want to see how this plays out, let's just regard the recent experience with masks, with COVID masks, as illustrative of what happens. And this is how this becomes a social norm. Now we know, even the CDC has admitted, that masks don't do squat. I mean, unless you're using whatever that P95 or whatever the
N95.
N95, the thing that costs like $100 that nobody's got. The masks don't do anything really, unless you're sneezing and spraying all over the place. They don't protect you. They don't protect other people. But what happens is what you saw. The infamous news clip from the weekend on Long Island where somebody was hounded out of a grocery store because they weren't wearing a COVID mask. And one of the people who was getting in this victim's face actually took his mask off so he could scream at her louder. So that's the kind of thing that happens. You have the virtue signalers versus the virtuous ones versus people who are possessed of common sense. The same thing will happen with tracing apps. Mark my words.
Yeah, and this is really what I want to get down to on the apps themselves. There are two that I'm aware of, and all this came up. Why I'm even talking about this. Some of you might know I work in technology. That's my daytime job. I do security analysis. I do security compliance, among many other things. Data privacy and data security is very important to me. It's something that I live and breathe on a daily basis. I help companies anticipate data breaches and put in appropriate security measures, that sort of thing. So when I see apps like this pop up and surface, of course, they capture my attention because I'm always looking at what are they really trying to do? And this comes up with Facebook all the time. People have never really thought, conceptualized, or imagined themselves paying a monthly subscription fee to use Facebook. They just always look at it as a free service. Well, I always encourage people to sit there and think, if a service that you're using on a daily basis for hours and hours at a time is free Yet the company's worth billions of dollars. You had to start asking, where are they making their money from, and what is the product? Well, at the end of the day, you are the product. And that's what people don't totally get or understand. So when I look at these apps, I look at it with the same type of scrutiny. And absolutely, there could be people out there that are just creating apps because they want to better mankind, they want to volunteer, they want to do their part. That's fine. People actually do that. That's something that does happen. It happens in our community. Typically, they open up the apps so that the code is publicly available and can be audited to see what's really happening. To the best of my ability, this has not happened with AB Trace Together or Healthy Together. These are the two apps. And what kind of caught my attention was a Snopes article that basically was put together to fact check whether or not these apps are in fact tracking and tracing people who are not using the apps based on permissions that people who are using the apps give the apps. Did you follow that, Bob? I know that's probably extremely confusing.
No, I think I got it. The terminus of this whole thing, where it's all headed, is they're going to trace you, they're going to track you, and then what they're going to do is this is going to lead to the issuance of mandatory vaccination orders. When things reach a certain, I don't know, center of gravity, then all of a sudden they're going to say, again, this all has to be for the greater good, just like, 6 foot distancing, which, by the way, Cornell University and the University of Rochester just completed a study, the results released today, that show that all the social distancing didn't do anything to prevent the spread of COVID. Nothing. The only thing that it did in the early stages was help, flatten the curve, so that the hospitals did not get overwhelmed. They didn't come close to being overwhelmed anywhere. So once again, all the social distancing, meaningless. The masks, meaningless. But what this is going to do, though, is it's going to divide the country once again into compliant government, little peons, versus those among us who fight for freedom. And mandatory vaccinations, if you think that that's far-fetched, think of where we were 5 years ago with government intrusion into our lives versus where we are today.
Yeah, and I don't think mandatory vaccinations does sound so far-fetched because we have people in the media almost every day pushing for that. So I think that is, people aren't hiding it anymore. They're being very open about it. So I would not be surprised if we start seeing proposed legislation in the direction of mandatory vaccinations. It will probably start very small. Like, you have to have something like polio vaccine, which has been pretty widely accepted just about anywhere. And then it'll build there incrementally, as government always does.
But polio vaccine is not mandated, though.
No, not today. But what I'm saying is they would start with something like that, that people would generally say, yeah, polio vaccine sounds like something I've had before. Maybe that's not such a bad idea. And they'll start with something small like that, and then they'll add another and another and another. And before you know, you'll have however many as mandatory.
Yeah,
like right now they are not.
Yeah, and once you have the mandatory vaccines, you're going to have credentialing. So everybody will carry basically like a little license to be a human being. So if you want to go into a movie theater, or you want to go into a live performance, or some kind of event, or you want to get into any place where there's a football game, a football, baseball game, any place where there's a mass gathering of people, you'll have to present at the gate. You'll have to have your little certificate of vaccination scanned. I mean, is this New World Order or what?
Yeah, I think that we could probably find some movies that people maybe 10 years ago said were very far-fetched, and you could look at today's society and go, wow, that actually happened. So yeah, I don't think it's as far-fetched. I think they'll come up with something cooler than a certificate, like you'll be able to use your Fitbit to scan, or an app on your phone.
Or they'll inject you with a chip.
It's a possibility. People are already they're wearing chips now, whether they know it or not. The NFC chips have been out for a long time. You can have them in a ring, in your bracelet, on your necklace. It's one of those things that it's already here. It is already here. All right, guys, we're going to take a brief break. When we come back, we're going to talk about AB Trace Together and Healthy Together, the two apps. I want to tell you guys a little bit about their privacy policies before we move on from this topic, because I think it's worth you guys knowing about and hearing about and being able to share with friends and family. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Now, more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have partly to mostly cloudy skies. Another warm, muggy night in the 60s to near 70 on Thursday. Still warm and humid, but not as hot. We'll stay in the low to mid 80s. Mostly cloudy, chance of a shower or a thunderstorm. On Friday, we will see some showers, the possibility of a thunderstorm as well, with temperatures near 80. I'm Rich Cornelia on WYSL.
Hi, Bob Savage here, hoping you're safe and well and that your business or business plans are persevering during the COVID shutdown. We at the WYSL stations have some good news for business owners and managers. As the virus abates, you want your business name, image, and message to be top of mind for consumers with pent-up demand. That's why we're offering free advertising. Actually, 2 months worth of free advertising. Also, free basic copywriting and creative as well. No hidden charges. We're doing this to help new businesses and businesses which were completely shut down by government order to get established and back on their feet. After those 2 months, once your cash flow and operations are stable, you're off and running, you run an inexpensive paid schedule for a few months, but that's only after your free schedule. WYSL accepts all major credit cards, and we have easy terms for qualified advertisers. Get ready for the great reopen. Get the word out about your business on the powerful, affordable voice of liberty, WYSL, and get your free 2 months of advertising. Call 346-3000 today.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, this is Gary Mervis. During these difficult times, we know that many people are hurting financially with the loss of jobs and tighter finances. However, if you find yourself in a position to donate, your financial help is needed now more than ever for children and families Camp Good Day serves, as the circumstances have caused us to postpone our fundraisers and events. During this current COVID-19 pandemic, people are unfortunately still being told that they have been diagnosed with cancer. If you are able to help by donating either through our website, campgooddays.org, or by mailing in a check, it would be much appreciated. If we all do our part to get through COVID-19, I know we will come out stronger than ever.
An experienced professional with more than 15 years in dentistry, Dr. David Olivo welcomes new patients to his family practice at 2005 Lyle Avenue. At the office of Dr. Olivo, you'll discover a warm and comforting environment staffed by professionals who are committed to providing the best available dental care while assuring your complete comfort. Call 328-3382 for an appointment. Dr. David Olivo, offering quality dentistry with a gentle touch.
As the word tells us that all things are to be done decently and in order, we all have a desire to be more organized. Get Organized has been helping their clients effectively organize their living spaces with custom closets, pantries, garage storage systems, and more for over 30 years. Get Organized can be reached online at www.closetsrochester.com or by phone at 585-223-3646. Get Organized with closetsrochester.com today.
Yes, it's Turnbull tune-up time for your air conditioning system. Whether you have an attic system, a ductless wall mount system, or even a conventional central air conditioning unit attached to your furnace, call Turnbull today to schedule your appointment to save energy and money. If you need a new system, Turnbull can provide a free estimate to meet your comfort needs and budget. Call Turnbull today, 343-2005.
You'll be comfortable with the best. Turnbull Heating and Air.
In Avon and Livingston County, call 226-6180.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We've got Bob Savage in the studio, and it sounds like we've got Heidi from Avon on the line.
Hey, Heidi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. I absolutely love your show. I'm from Alaska originally, but here now. I'm calling because what you're talking about, the tracking, and I was wondering if you folks were aware. I was listening to Christian radio, and there's Gary Kaw, who's a globalist, and he talked about the ID 2022, and it's about the biometric tattoo, the chip that's inserted, I guess showing that you've been vaccinated. I guess it's been something that this one world order, just trying to look at my notes, but using this crisis to put in place things that they wanted to do for a long time. It's really, really pretty scary.
Yeah, I haven't heard specifically about that, but I can speak to general or to government as a whole and government in general and politicians that when they have something that they cannot normally get past, they will not waste any time using some sort of crisis, in this case, coronavirus, and fear and people's desire to have safety to get things passed, sometimes in the middle of the night, to further their agenda and use fear and other means to make government bigger, more expensive, and to reduce our freedoms. It seems that every single time we have some sort of crisis happen, that is exactly what we see government do.
Yes, that's exactly. Looking at my notes, I guess there's a website, id2022.org, and my notes say it's a group of very influential global partners formed an alliance. I guess they had a event 2018 with the Manifesto of Fundamental and Universal Human Rights. That was September of 19. But yes, once I turned the radio off, I called my mom in Alaska and actually just put my hands over my face and cried and prayed because it's just so scary, exactly what both of you are talking about, the tracking and vaccines. And I guess a good friend of this, Gary Kaw, received an email late October, early November of last year for a position of a quarantine specialist, and the friend had never gotten this type of email before. It's just really scary, the globalism and how they're using this. But thank you.
Yeah, a lot of impetus from the United Nations. Thanks, Heidi. Appreciate the call. Got to let you go because your phone's getting really noisy. But this is we globalists are everywhere, and in particular in our federal government, Andrew. So that's something you all have to be aware of when you're casting your votes this fall.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I do want to come to these apps because they are being promoted. They're being talked about. Some of the stuff that people are saying isn't true. Some of it is true. I just wanted to make sure that you guys know what's going on so that you have the information And if somebody asks you to install this on your device, you'll know whether or not you want it. And if somebody gives you trouble about not wanting it, you'll have the ability to speak to why you don't want it. So the first one is AB Trace Together. This app seems to be developed and maybe owned, it was a little unclear, by the Canadian government and Alberta Health. It really is unclear. I did some background research. I was trying to look to see who owns the app, who owns the data, and the site didn't really cover that. They basically said that Alberta Health has access to the data and they're analyzing it, and also the Canadian government does. And when I went through their privacy policy, there was a lot of, I guess, lack of clarity. Basically, the only thing that I gleaned from their privacy policy is that they don't use GPS tracking on your phone. That is the only thing I really gleaned from their privacy policy. I would encourage you guys to check it out and read it if you are considering using that app, because it's going to track data on you. It's going to track your information. But it was the only thing that was clear that they don't track was that they don't track GPS data. So that would be like your actual physical location. And I want to point out, all of these privacy policies, by the way, at the end say the privacy policy could change without notice. So it is important to know that the privacy policy you agree to today could be different than the privacy policy they publish tomorrow.
Just checking, by the way, this AB Trace Together, AB as in Alberta, because that's the Canadian provincial abbreviation for Alberta. Checking the Calgary Herald right now. There's an article about security concerns with AB Trace Together. The app developed by Deloitte and was built off source code from a similar app released by, wait for it, the Singapore government. So let's see, where's Singapore? If last I checked, I think it's in China.
Yeah, exactly. Which actually brings me to the next app, which is Healthy Together. Now, Healthy Together, just based on their privacy policy alone, seems much more invasive, like significantly more invasive, so much so that I couldn't even list all of the things that they take. But here's the important piece to me, and this is the reason I bring this up. If you install and use Healthy Together, one of the things it will ask you is whether or not it can check your contacts list to see if people in your contacts list are also using Healthy Together. In their privacy policy, they state that if you give them that permission voluntarily, they will take all of your contacts, not just the ones using their app, all of them, and record and store their names and phone numbers. Now, they don't say what they would do with that data, and they record a bunch of other information like your IP address, MAC address, device ID, quote-unquote other tracking information, GPS, Wi-Fi, cellular, Bluetooth, to detect and triangulate your location and location history. This is pretty uncomfortable. And some people might say, well, doesn't Facebook record and track a lot of this information as well? Here's the thing. When you yourself create a Facebook account, you are agreeing and consenting to that invasion of your privacy. In this instance, you are agreeing on somebody else's behalf and giving Healthy Together their name and their phone number. And I gotta tell you, I personally am tired of the spam calls that I get to my phone. And Healthy Together could have the best interests in the world. They could have the policy that they will never share your information with anybody, which is not in their privacy policy, by the way. And they could have a data breach. And somebody else could get a hold of your information that you never consented to giving them. It came from somebody else's device. And I personally, I have a pretty big problem with that.
I think most people would. You know, the 30,000-foot vision here, folks, is if you are developing a sense now that this whole COVID thing, which is becoming increasingly controversial and politicized, is more and more likely to be some kind of a big, a government intrusion into our lives a big power grab by statists. This is one more manifestation of it. If you needed more proof, yeah, I mean, you go down the list. I mean, all the stacking of numbers in favor of COVID-19 to overstate the number of deaths, number of infections, all the big push, which of course is underscored by media everywhere we turn, where we have to have testing, and then we have to have tracing. Well, why? Why is that necessary? It seems like the more prudent approach would have been for us to leave things open and achieve herd immunity so as many people could be exposed to the virus as possible and develop the antibodies that are necessary to fight any of these SARS virus type forms.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, the idea that people could voluntarily submit their name and their number to get alerted about the fact that they maybe came into contact with the virus, that piece I'm okay with. If those people want to voluntarily give up that information about themselves, great, good for them. That's their choice, their data, their privacy. But don't give them my data and my information and my privacy, because I'm not consenting to that. I'm already doing the things that I believe will keep myself and my family and the people I care for safe and healthy. I don't need somebody else sharing my information. Guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
It's time to reopen Livingston County. We're a group of citizens advocating an immediate end to so-called pause orders, threatening the livelihoods of local business owners and free choice for consumers. We believe all businesses are essential and all workers are essential workers. We urge everyone to support your local small business and small business owners to open back up immediately. Permanent economic losses are far more dangerous than the hyped COVID scare. Reopen Livingston, a group of your concerned neighbors and citizens proud of our freedoms and our Constitution.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Before the break started, Bob had mentioned Cuomo's got a new plan or a new initiative, an infrastructure thing. What's going on, Bob?
It's so
Cuomo's
exciting.
latest?
I got to tell you, Andrew, I'm just like so pleased with myself and all the world because, Andy's looking out for us. Andy's got a plan. And he's actually, even as we speak, he's in Washington, D.C. He's pitching this to President Trump, who I'm sure, because President Trump and Andy get along so well, I'm sure he's going to embrace this idea like a great big old bear hug, except it would be a bear with COVID. But I digress. No, Andy thinks that what we need to do is in upstate New York, well, throughout New York State, we need to supercharge the economy, Andrew. Isn't that great? He wants to supercharge
like with
it.
a Tesla charger? Or are we going to just plug it in, solar amp it up, or what?
It's an interesting thing. And you would think probably, because I know this was my immediate response, I certainly hope that Cuomo isn't proposing that we open up the economy and get restaurants working and retail establishments, get everybody back to work and get our economy revived and get it going because, Andrew, who wants that?
Yeah, I mean, and it's probably really dangerous, right, Bob?
It's totally dangerous. I mean, he's already said it, and he's so right that, you go out without your mask on, you could literally kill someone. And we all know this. We all know
to
this.
Get the virus is death. That's what he said multiple times now.
Yep, that's it. But Andrew's plan is, we don't need all these little, like pizza shops and hair salons and services and doctors' offices and all that kind of stuff. No, what we need, Andrew, is infrastructure. So he was giving a speech yesterday about don't you remember how we brought the country back from the Depression with projects like the Hoover Dam.
Yeah, I bet you
that
would do it, Bob.
Build listen, the Hoover Dam, I'm telling you, I mean, that immediately put us on top of the rest of the world economically. Just that Hoover Dam. And then you had the Boulder Dam. Then you had this, Civilian Conservation Corps. All these great FDR things that were, ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. But, hey, they're just a bunch of naysayers anyway. But that's what we need. We need, if we're going to supercharge New York's economy, we need to rebuild Penn Station.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Got to redo Penn Station. I mean, I don't know. I've been into Penn Station numerous times going to New York City, and I tell you the truth, Andrew, when I walk into Penn Station, sometimes I'm a little scared because some of it looks like it's going to fall on me.
Well, I guess it checks all the boxes, Bob. It's going to supercharge the economy. It's going to save lives. And it'll benefit New York City, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And
we got
the boxes.
Got to do a lot of work on the subway stations. Got to improve those subway stations, and also we need better airports. Airports, I'm telling you, forget about the jobs. Forget about the you got laid off back in March and everything, and you've been living on government grant money and scrambling around trying to get Andy's extremely efficient unemployment division to disgorge your unemployment checks. But I know you're hungry. I know you're depressed because there's nothing to do. There's no movies to go to. You can't go out and do anything because, of course, it's dangerous. We got to be safe. But the airports, Andrew, the airports are key to this. We got to have better airports. We got to spend billions of dollars, and we got to borrow it all.
Yeah, and who's going to pay for this? Oh wait, our
come on,
grandchildren.
What
crap?
What are you? Just obstructionist? What's the matter with you?
Yes,
listen, we'll just write the checks. AOC has told us that the money will come. All we have to do is just spend it, and it's just the money tree out in the yard just. It flowers and it. So anyway, and then another thing that he wants to do is he wants to do better sources of energy, cheap renewable energy in New York State. And by that, Governor Cuomo means that what we need is a great big extension cord from Canada down to New York City to provide New York City with, we don't need to generate electricity in New York. Just buy it from a foreign country. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with that?
The interesting thing about that is, doesn't New York City get like 80 or 90% of their energy from Niagara Falls? Like clean, already renewable energy? Like,
No, that's icky energy, Andrew.
Oh, that's icky energy.
That's icky.
Okay. I guess the falls aren't that clean.
You got to have good, clean, green energy. New Green New Deal, whatever it is. And the way that you get that is you buy it from Canada. Where they can just. I mean, Pierre Trudeau could wake up on the wrong side of the bed and say, I'm really mad at the U.S. I'm going to jack up their electric rates, and there's not a lot that we can do. I mean, I suppose we could put an embargo on. Back Big and Labatt's. But other than that, I don't think we have a lot of pressure that we can exert on them.
So Cuomo's big idea here is rebuild Penn Station. And I guess that'll benefit some people, right? I mean, because Penn Station will be a little nicer. So when everybody doesn't have a job and they're homeless and they have to panhandle, they can go to the newly built Penn Station. It'll be a little... more robust for that.
Infrastructure, yeah. Andrew, that's what it's all about. Now, you might be thinking, I've been living in New York for quite some time now, and I've been paying a lot of doggone taxes, and I've been thinking that money was going, to rebuild our roads and bridges and our airports and all that stuff, but I'm very pleased to be able to tell you, because it was a relief for me to learn this, that no, that money hasn't been spent on any of that stuff. The money, the tax money has been spent on economic development upstate. Like the Buffalo Billion, the solar plant. And then there was going to be some kind of solid state lighting plant that we spent $25 billion of in Syracuse. And then the company decided after we spent $25 billion on it, we don't want it. Because nobody made them commit to build a factory there. The taxpayers of New York just built a $25 billion factory, and then the company said no thanks.
Well, but Bob, I mean, these have got to be great investments. I mean, I heard Cuomo say in his live stream a few weeks ago that the federal government told him that New York is bad at spending money, and that's why they don't want to bail out New York. And I heard Cuomo himself say that New York is a very frugal state, and we are very good on spending.
They're so efficient, and they're so look at the unemployment division. I mean, that thing is just ticking along like a little clock. Everybody's got big smiles on their face. They've got their unemployment checks because bureaucrats have told us. And it's probably due to the fact that they're running that wonderful computer system that's based on MS-DOS.
Yeah, and that is the latest, most cutting, bleeding edge technology I ever heard of. I mean, the MS-DOS is going to keep the unemployment system just running. It'll be purring like a kitten, no problems.
Just think about a wonderful computer system, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to use a mouse. I mean, using a mouse on a computer is just stupid.
It's inefficient. You got a keyboard only. You don't need any, pesky images or formatting or anything. Just a black screen, white text.
Great big crude-looking characters, and then you use F commands. Love that. Love it.
No. I tell you what, if it's sad to say all this and then realize that New York State, even if they wanted to make things better, they would spend so much money trying to make it better, and in the end, they would just make it worse.
No, come on now. Government is spending money and making things worse, especially Andrew Cuomo. I mean, look at the wonderful TV campaigns about tourism that tells all of us that we live in a great state and we should really vacation here. Let's spend like $50 or $60 or $100 million on that. Hey, how do you like your state? It's pretty good. Over and over and over again. And you can ski here? Did you know there's lakes?
Yeah, you know what? New York State is one of the most beautiful places in the nation, but sadly, so many of us, we can't afford the taxes. We had to leave. And now with the new tax hikes, they're talking about 25% in some areas. Yeah, more people are going to leave, and they won't be able to afford to stay here in this beautiful state. You guys are listening to Radio Free New York. We'll be back, same time, same place, tomorrow.